Du musst auf Twitch gucken. Wie auf Twitch. Warte mal ganz kurz. Haben wir mehr Viewer auf Twitch als der offizielle Deep Dive? Oh man, that is crazy. Okay.
We've seen our villain Xalatath running around and amassing untold power. We've seen her siphon the energies of Dalaran, and even those of the black blood beneath Azj-Kahet. And recently, Xalatath assumed the power of the last Void Lord, Dimensius. So the question remains, what will she do with all that power? And what are her intentions relative to our precious world soul? So now, as midnight descends, and the second, darker chapter of our trilogy begins, Xalatath has returned to Azeroth, leading an army known as the Devouring Host, intent on snuffing out the light of the Sunwell and plunging the world into darkness. You, the heroes of Azeroth, will be set on a collision course with Xalatath to save not only Azeroth itself, but everything that is.
Willst du mich verarschen? Ich komm gleich zu dir, guck jetzt! Alpha Footage! Geil!
Hi everyone.
Hello.
As we kick off our Midnight Alpha, we'd like to give you all a deep dive into what's in store. We want to recap everything we've shared so far, along with some brand new details. Today we're going to talk about the story of Midnight, as well as the zones, dungeons, delves, and raids that await if you want to save our world from Xalatath. We're also going to talk about some big new features coming in Midnight, like Prey and the Devourer Demon Hunter specialization. And of course, let's not forget housing. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, thank you for being a part of this amazing community, for choosing to spend your time in Azeroth and with each other. Now, without further ado, let's see what's in store for our home away from home. After all, it's nearly midnight.
The void storm rages in the sky, a surging vortex of shadow and chaos. Xalatath has returned. Wielding the dark heart, she carves a path of destruction through once tranquil lands. Her all-consuming goal: devour the heavens, blot out all light, and bring about her midnight. It is in the shadow of this swirling storm that the defenders of Azeroth must rally once more. For peace, for the light, for the good. This is not a battle. It is a reckoning. At the Sunwell, that eternal bastion of light and hope, Lady Liadrin and Lord Themar Theron lead the Blood Elves as they prepare to make their final stand. Because across all worlds and all stories, one thing never changes. Home is worth fighting for. Welcome to World of Warcraft Midnight.
Boah, geil! Junge, geil, 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 geil.
Your story begins on the Isle of Quel'Danas.
Oh,
In the immediate aftermath of Xalatath's invasion, the Sunwell surges with light, calling out to all heroes of Azeroth for aid, while the vile creatures of the Void wage a relentless assault in the hopes of extinguishing it once and for all. Flying monstrosities attack from darkened skies, and malign foes manifest without warning to wreak havoc across the plateau. Stand true with the champions of Azeroth as they mount a desperate defense against this invasion. For if the Sunwell falls, so too does the world.
Oh man, Silbermond ist geil.
The defense of the Sunwell leads you directly into Silvermoon City. But not the one you know. The renewed light of the Sunwell symbolizes Silvermoon's revitalization, shining over a city fully restored to a thrumming, living capital. Familiar landmarks gleam with fresh polish, while new areas like the Sanctum of Light and the Garden of Remembrance offer countless nooks and stories to explore. Inside the city walls, the threat of Xalatath's war draws the Alliance and Horde into wary cooperation. with shared spaces hosting common services like trainers, the auction house, vendors, and more.
Missgeburten.
Around a third of the city remains off-limits to those under the Lion's banner, so the Alliance allegiant should tread lightly or risk being attacked on sight. Outside the city walls, however, is where your role in the fight against the Void really begins to take shape.
Scheiße, Bro. Ach
The
so,
strength
ach,
of the
Bro.
Sunwell infuses Eversong Woods with restorative energy, healing much of the damage of wars past and filling the zone with new growth and new life. All of what you remember of this lush, thriving forest is here. But Eversong is also a reimagined landscape of increased scale and greater beauty. Most noticeably, the Ghostlands and Eversong Woods are now joined into one large zone, which is itself joined to the Eastern Kingdoms. Eversong's flourishing fluorescence is not without complication. Though the Sunwell's light is a boon to the environment, its surging power causes pockets of light bloom, small groves of light-enriched growth, to experience surges of their own. The light bloom's rampant propagation, if left unchecked, threatens to smother all life under an overgrown tangle.
655 Abos.
Your adventures through Eversong will have you investigating the light bloom, dealing with the aftermath of a Hawkstrider chick gone wild, helping a suspicious apothecary with questionable motives, untangling the secrets of two feuding nobles, and even getting caught up in a sinister murder plot, alongside Magister Umbric as he works to crack the secrets of the Void. It is up to you how your story progresses beyond Eversong Woods, with 3 available paths you can tackle in any order. Brave the ancient troll kingdom of Zulaman, investigate the gnarled hidden roots of Harandar, or accompany Arator on his journey to better understand the light, the void, and himself. Zulaman finds the Amani Troll Empire at one of its lowest points. The homeland of warlord Zuljin, Zulaman was once a place where Loa bestowed to the Amani their godly strength, and were devoutly revered in kind. The temples still stand, weathered but proud. The eagle, the lynx, the dragonhawk, and the bear. Ascend wind-swept sky-scraping peaks, explore ruins shrouded in fog, traverse stormy wilds teeming with vicious beasts, and accompany Zuljara, granddaughter of Zuljin, and the pragmatic pillar of strength now leading the Amani, as she seeks a means to save her people from void-aligned cultists and the monsters they revere. The Amani are invaluable allies in the defense against Xalatath's invading force. If you help them fight for their home, they will help you fight for yours. At the confluence of the world tree's roots lies an impossible primordial jungle known as Harandar. It is here that Azeroth's entire history wraps, twists, and braids, a literal entanglement of all that has been and all that will be. Harandar is a land of magical, powerful growth. Fungal towers, glowing moss bridges, and entire villages sprout from Harandar's wild, organic fabrics. The pulsing heart of this knotted tangle is the cradle, once the domain of a nascent goddess, long vanished, and now the home of the Haranir, who have for generations lived secretly under its soothing light. The reclusive Haranir are a proud and insular people. They have long avoided interfering in matters of the world above, but Xalatath's destructive ambition does not stop at the surface, and the Haranir can no longer afford the luxury of neutrality. There is another way you can help with the defense of Azeroth against Xalatath's cruel machinations. Accompany Erator, son of Turalian and Aleria Windrunner, on a continent-spanning journey in the hopes of bolstering the Sunwell and strengthening the vanguard of the light. This story-driven adventure finds you traveling with Erator as he searches for sacred relics and attempts to peel back the mysteries of the Void, all while grappling with his own relationships to his family and the light. Erator's mission brings new experiences to familiar locations. Defend Light's Hope Chapel from an attack by Scourge forces. fight through the darkened corridors of Scarlet Monastery to put to rest those who would pervert the light for their own nefarious gain, and work with Sunwalker Desco in Hammerfall to help Eretor in discovering the paladin he aspires to become. Eretor's story reaches its climax in the shadow of Blackrock Mountain, where alongside the Sons of Lothar, he must face the weight of his father's legacy and decide once and for all whether he is willing to rise to meet it. The raging center of an unraveling, shadowy maelstrom, and the epicenter of Zalatath's power, Voidstorm overflows with violence, chaos, and hostility. Stormfields twist and fold its space. Gravity becomes untethered and tethers again. Insatiable void creatures known as Dominar stalk the storm, each one as unique and ancient as it is hateful and hungry. They carry on their eternal hunt for power under the black gaze of 3 enormous nexus points, hubs of the malicious dark energy Zalatath draws upon to fuel her void spar and conduct her unyielding assault against the Sunwell. Join Azeroth's champions and the Void Elves in their quest to understand what powers this storm and stave off its approach. Though much of the world of Midnight lies in the ominous shade of the encroaching void, there is at least one refuge for the weary. The Argentina.
Ich hab die Hälfte verpasst.
What began as a hidden sanctuary is now a not-so-secret tavern haven for Horde and Alliance alike. A big, cozy...
Kann ich ja mal ganz kurz einen Call raushauen? Wirkt das so, als hätten die schönsten Orte von Classic, TBC und so zusammengepackt und einfach was Neues rausgemacht? Weil alles gibt mir so den Flair von wegen Zangermarschen, BRD, Kloster. Es wirkt irgendwie alles sehr ähnlich, sehr familiär. Familiär, wisst ihr, was ich meine?
In the atmosphere of a well-traveled watering hole. As a crossway for people of all kinds, the Argentina also serves as a source of new adventures.
Was?
Familiar faces stop by here and there, spinning stories and offering quests that send you far across Azeroth in search of relics of the past. Follow the course they set for you to discover a fresh perspective on familiar locations. Zalatath is determined in her destiny, an unrelenting foe with an army that never sleeps. But you can't live every moment in grim resistance. The Argentina is always here, should you find yourself in need of a little respite.
Oh, ja!
The mysteries of the origins of the void and the knowledge and power to stop it are not to be found only on the surface. For true deliverance, as always, hides in snarled labyrinths, looming temples, deadly ruins. These delves, dungeons, and raids are the real font of power, the sacred and defiled spaces from which strength is not just earned, but taken. Across this void-darkened world hide myriad delves overflowing with incalculable danger. Located on the Isle of Quel'Danas, Parhelion Plaza is an outdoor delve that drops you into the heart of the defense of the Sunwell. Fight against the surge of the Void's attack by restoring Parhelion's defenses, commanding an artillery of light, ducking into pocket dimensions, and putting down Gladius Slaughter, a Dominar who uses summoned Voidwalkers as weapons against your stand. Expect to plunge the depths of 9 other delves and one seasonal nemesis delve when Midnight launches. You do not have to face these delves alone. Valeera Sanguinar is a powerful new companion with a rogue-minded approach to problem-solving. As a DPS, her killing spree ability has her moving through the shadows to lash out at multiple enemies. As a healer, she uses vampiric reaping to rip away the life force of enemies into orbs you can collect to heal. And as a tank, she uses your first mistake to taunt and do damage over time to any enemy that turns their back on her to attack her ally. Valeera is also a prolific provider of poisons that, depending on her role, empower you with more damage, better avoidance, increased speed, and more.
Du geh uns!
Your adventures in Midnight eventually lead you down darker paths, paths that end in
Underrot.
overgrown corridors and ruin-stricken
Amazon.
relics, forgotten
Suleiman.
places of powers best left unstirred. Yet these dungeons promise plunder worthy of the peril, should you have the courage to
Ja, die lustig
overcome
aus.
the challenges within. Windrunner Spire, the former residence of the Windrunner family, haunts the skyline of Eversong Wood's western shore. The strained relationship of its namesake sisters,
Das mag ich nicht.
Verisa, Sylvanas, and Ilaria,
Das mag ich
imbues
nicht
its
so.
halls with a sullen, spiteful energy. The restless spirits bound to this animosity threaten
So Geister-Dungeon nämlich zu sehr in dieses komische Ravenclaw, Ravenheart, ihr wisst, Ravenheart Thicket oder so wie das hieß. Boah, das war so Pain, Alter.
your help in quelling this restlessness and clearing his once great home of hate. Serenity, however, is not so easily claimed.
Ja,
There
aber ich
are
will doch
other
auch reden.
forces that seek dominion over
Oder soll ich
this
die Fresse
domain.
halten?
Emberdawn, a fire-colored dragonhawk, claims the dilapidated gardens of the Spire as a nest for her young. She is fiercely territorial, answering intruders with both talon and flame. The derelict duo comprised of the Banshee Callis and her loyal abomination Latch lead a band of fanatical undead in a hunt for relics tied to Sylvanas. They meet outside interference with a mix of shadowy magic and brute strength. Commander Krolok, a merciless orc who oversaw countless conquests during the Second War that took Lirath Windrunner's life, stalks the Spire with an insatiable bloodlust. Since being slain in vengeance by Ilaria, Krolok knows only torment and the desire to pass it on. The restless heart, a concentrated whirlwind of grief and suffering born from the conflict of the Windrunner sisters, envelops all who remain in turbulent turmoil.
Aber das sieht nicht so gut
This
aus.
swirling spectre takes the form of a ranger, combining the power of the wind with volleys of arrows to cut down the uninvited. Windrunner Spire was, at one point, a living embodiment of family and of legacy.
Geisterlande, ne?
With the help of Lirath and your allies, you can make it so once more. 7 more dungeons await you in Midnight, each one crawling with the Cutthroat and the Craven.
Boah, das sieht so geil aus.
Magister's Terrace and Murder Row in Eversong Woods, the Den of Nalorak and Mysara Caverns in Zolaman,
What the
Blinding Vale in Harandar, and the Voidscar Arena and Nexus Point Zenith in Voidstorm.
Bro, es ist so
The most
TBC.
tyrannical antagonists of Azeroth work their dark deeds from within Midnight's 3 new raids. The Void Spire, where 6 bosses hold court over the heart of the Void and muster against the amassing vanguard of the Light as it readies to storm the walls of Xalatath's stronghold. The Dream Rift, where you must join in the hunt for an undreamt god that never should have been, and put down half-birthed abominations that lash out against existence itself. And the march on Quell Danas, an encounter still shrouded by the fog of war beyond the known
Geil,
presence
Alter.
of Beloren, the void-corrupted phoenix, who stakes a ceaseless watch over the entrance to the chambers beyond. The void threatens to end all of Azeroth, to rend the world in the squall of a black tempest. But the extraordinary power it carries does provide opportunities to those heroes
Demon
willing
Hunter,
to
Bruder.
embrace it. Devoured demon hunters bend
Demon
the
Hunters
void to
beg
their
you!
will, ripping void fragments from their enemies and using them as the power source for cataclysmic spells. They are mid-range damage dealers, armed
geil.
with a summonable void scythe, darting in and out of the fray as they dance on the line between control and chaos. Voidblade and Hungering Slash work in concert, dash into melee range to deliver a series of crushing Void Scythe attacks, then use Vengeful Retreat to escape the enemy's reprisal. You can also start this combo off with a Void-charged The Hunt. Metamorphosis transforms you into a familiar state of cursed power. The more you feed it, the longer it lasts. Ride the wave of annihilation by tearing apart souls and staying alive.
What the
Reap
fuck?
is a sweeping scythe attack that consumes all of your soul fragments for one massive burst of damage. Use Void Ray to cut through enemies in a straight line and leave them smoldering. Collapsing Star channels the immense energy of a dying star, focusing it into one single destructive blast. The more you cast it during your Void metamorphosis, the stronger it gets. Demon hunters also find themselves with new disciples in Midnight. Void elves are sharpening their warglaves and joining the hunt.
Boah, wie geil, Alter! Okay, das sind, glaube ich, die
Newly
Haranir, ne?
awakened to the dire threat of midnight, the Haranir join the fight for the surface
Was
as
ist
the
das?
next playable allied race.
Nach der
Haranir are deeply entwined with the organic world. Theirs is a culture shaped not by cities or by conquest, but by the roots, the stones, the quiet pulse of the deepest breath of the world. Their armor, their weapons, their skin, all are infused with the inner light of organic power.
Sieht aber cool aus.
Even the mightiest primordial predator in Harandar knows to fear the telltale luminescence of a Haranir's markings in the dense jungle brush. They are primal, ferocious hunters, a force of nature unto themselves, who possess the racial ability to travel along the roots of the world, from Harandar to any world tree, or from anywhere back to Harandar.
Wie sieht die
Haranir
Form aus?
are versatile warriors
Ele?
who can choose from a wide range of paths, including those of the warrior, hunter, rogue, priest, shaman, mage, warlock, monk, and druid.
Was?
The last of which has all new forms that reflect the Haranir's unique connection to those hidden parts of the earth.
Holy shit.
Prey is a secret opt-in initiative run out of Silvermoon City by Astalor Bloodsworn, a blood elf with what some might call a colorful past. Astalor is after one thing: anguish, a powerful magic siphoned from Azeroth's deadliest threats, and he's offering generous compensation to heroes who are courageous or foolhardy enough to go chase it. Astalor's lair in Murder Row is your base of operations for Prey, the place where you pick your targets, track your progress, and collect your rewards,
Lol.
including cosmetics, mounts, titles, and housing items. The deeper you go, the harder the challenges, and the
Das sind so
more you unlock.
Solo-Aktivitäten, ne?
Prey has 3 difficulties. Normal, which serves as an introduction to the system, along with offering plenty of challenge. Hard, where the ambushes get meaner and the encounters more intense. And Nightmare, which is just about the fastest way to gain intimate knowledge of Midnight's many new and scenic graveyards. Prey can ambush you at any time, whether you're questing, exploring, or minding your own business. Each time you defeat your target, you increase your advantage by tiring them out and buying time to find whatever dark hole they're hiding in.
Bro, wie geil, Alter.
Higher difficulties incorporate torments, personal afflictions that only impact you. Torments cause a wide range of effects, like creating an AoE damage puddle under recently deceased foes, or haunting you with a bloody spirit that deals lethal damage when it catches you. A torment can also manifest in the form of Astalor's impatience, forcing you to make a kill within a specific time limit before Astalor simply extracts his payment from you. Prey targets are all different, and all deadly. Magister Sunbreaker, a disgraced blood elf whose reckless magic is a threat to Silvermoon and everyone near it. High Vindicator Varim, a zealot who believes the void can only be defeated by covering the entire world in holy flame, and is ready to put that belief to the test. Executor Canius, a sadistic dominar whose primary hobby is murdering anyone foolish enough to challenge his martial prowess. Prey is a way to add excitement, unpredictability, and challenge to your journey through Midnight. But be warned, there's a reason Astalor isn't chasing these targets himself. For those who tread the worn paths and soaring skyways of Azeroth, it is more than a world, more than story, character, or conflict. Azeroth is, and always will be, home. Housing in Midnight is dedicated to that ineffable feeling of being part of something bigger, of something greater, of living a real life as a true part of a real world. Housing in WoW is built to give you boundless self-expression in the place you call yours. Collect hundreds of decorations and dive deep on customization. Place, rotate, scale, and move items to your heart's content. This is more than changing a coat of paint or choosing a different picture frame. It's a sandbox for your imagination. World of Warcraft has over 2 decades of content, and the time you've spent in Azeroth over the years will yield a bounty of housing rewards.
Hey! Seine scheiß
Milestones like
Vodafone-Kunden, die haben
completing
sozial.
your Legion Order Hall campaign or finishing completionist achievements like Back to the Beyond will award housing items post facto. You'll also earn decor through dungeons and raids,
Bro, ich will das,
reputation
diese
vendors,
Dörfer
achievements, quest lines, housing endeavors, the auction house, holidays and live events, and crafting. All professions from all expansions can craft decor. Search the world for lumber, a new gathering resource, and use it to craft decorations that can be bought and sold on the auction house. Many housing-specific items can be dyed, giving you greater control of the finer details of decorating.
Oh, Mann.
Imagine your dream home. Collect and craft the decor to bring it to reality. Then tweak it until it is just right. Floor plans are flexible. You can rotate and stack
Das hab ich
rooms to
gespielt.
create multi-floor structures. A variety of room types and shapes are available, including normal squares and rectangles, L and T hallways,
kann auch oben
as
und
well
unten
as
machen.
some more fantastical configurations.
Guck, ist so geil.
Advanced mode takes the toolset even further, allowing you to adjust each piece of decor exactly as you want. Rotate, float, scale, and more to make your home a perfect reflection of your taste.
Das ist
And
wilde Scheiße,
that's
Bro.
just the inside.
Zeig
The
mir das
outside of
draußen.
your house is also customizable.
Das ist neu, das weißt
Place
du
your
noch nicht.
home how you
Neu.
want it on your plot.
Gib mir
Add
was.
fountains, statues, planters, and more. Change out your windows. Pick the perfect chimney. Add a tower. And decide on the door of your dreams. Exterior plots also have the same advanced mode as interiors for even more modification. At Midnight's official launch, you'll have a choice between exterior themes based on orcs, humans, blood elves, and night elves. These aren't just skins. They're full architectural styles with unique customization options. Orc homes feature hide rooftops, bonfires, and rugged surfaces. Human homes are
Oh, Mensch,
rustic,
so geil,
with
Digga.
sturdy stone walls, warm wooden floors, and colorful banners. Level up your house to unlock more flexibility. New rooms and floors, bigger house sizes, increases in the number of spots for decor, and more. Every house is in a shared zone known as a neighborhood, where you and others can show off your homes, build community, and participate in rolling challenges to earn housing rewards.
Bro, was?
Neighborhoods feature a wide variety of biomes, from spooky
so
forests
geil.
and coastal plains in Founders
Mit der
Point
Gilde einfach.
to lush oases and windswept bluffs in razor-wind shores. All contain different kinds of plots. Some are secluded and quiet, while others are clustered for the socially vibrant. Your neighborhood is faction-coded in its aesthetics, but not faction-exclusive in its residency. You have the choice between two types of neighborhood. Private neighborhoods where guilds or groups of friends can form their
Gilde,
own
Junge.
space. Public neighborhoods where you'll find a home among friends you haven't met yet.
Boah, wie geil, Alter.
Private neighborhoods come in two varieties. Guild neighborhoods, which scale to fit your guild roster, and charter neighborhoods, which are capped at 50 homes and are perfect
Boah,
for
wie geil.
tight-knit
Junge, da krieg ich
communities.
richtig Bock, Alter.
Endeavors are monthly neighborhood-wide activities that bring everyone together to complete tasks, unlock themed decorations, and contribute to helping your neighborhood evolve.
Was?
Participate in endeavors to earn house XP and community coupons that give you access to exclusive decor. Above
Holy
all,
shit.
housing is designed to help you find your perfect space and transform it to your own fantasy haven. To create your own home, sweet home.
Boah, das ist eine geile Nummer. Oder habt ihr noch irgendwas für uns, bitte?
And there you have it. Thank you so much on behalf of the entire World of Warcraft team for joining us for this overview of Midnight. And if after what you just saw you can't wait to get your hands on housing, don't worry, because it's coming your way if you have Midnight in early December of this year. Thank you again, and we'll see you in Azeroth.
Neuer Epic Battleground, Slayer's Rise. Bing Bong!
Friends, we hope you've enjoyed this deeper look at Midnight. But as you can see, this fight is far from over. The drums of war thunder once again, and Azeroth needs her champions, now more than ever.
Holy guacamole. Also, ich weiß nicht, wie es euch geht, aber das wirkte so, als hätten die sehr geguckt. Ach du Scheiße. Also, Midnight Release ist nicht 2025 noch, aber Housing kann man spielen, wenn man sich ab heute Midnight vorbestellt, so wie es aussieht. Kann man das schon im Battle.net Launcher machen? Ist das jetzt schon im Shop drin? Müsste ja jetzt eigentlich drin sein. Ja, schon lange. Ja, Bro, ich habe nichts vorbestellt. Midnight World of Warcraft. Wie teuer ist denn das? Was gibt's hier? Coming soon. 89 Euro Epic Edition. Was gibt's denn da drin? Artikel vergleichen. Midnight ist drin. Was? Midnight? The War Within? Achso. Boost auf 80. Vorabzugang zur Behausung. Also für Dezember. Händlerdevisen, Lichtschwingen, Drachenfalke, Reittier, Transmog-Set, so. Wenn man sich Epic holt, ist da drinne Beta, 3 Tage vorab, 30 Tage Game Time, 2 Haustiere, ein Transmog-Set, 2 Mounts, eine Deko. Heilige Scheiße, Bro, was ist denn da alles drin? Bro, was ist denn da alles drinne? Oh ja! Und ratet mal, welche Schlampe sich jetzt erstmal fett Midnight gönnt. It's me, man. Bro, was willst du machen? Ja, live is shit. Ich gehe jetzt erstmal rein. Bro, guck mal, ich war mir dead serious nicht sicher, ob ich reingehen werde. Ja, muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen. Aber, guck mal, wir können ja offen reden. Blizzard bezahlt mich dafür nicht. Blizzard, ja? Aber ich habe mir diesen Trailer angeguckt und meine Erwartungshaltung an Midnight sind gänzlich nicht da. Aber der Punkt, der mich abgeholt hat, ist der mit den Gilden-Neighborhoods und mit den Gilden-Neighborhood-Events. Als Streamer ist das ein so mächtiges Tool, mit seiner Community zusammen irgendwas zu machen und das gefällt mir sehr. Ja, das gefällt mir tatsächlich sehr. Ich bin mal gespannt. Ja, ich bin mal gespannt, ob es so wird. Oh, shit.
Hello, we are live. Welcome to the World of Warcraft Midnight Q&A. I'm Randy Jordan, and I go by Kyvax on the Warcraft community team.
Oh, scheiße, Jungs, das ist Kyvax.
We recently asked WoW players on forums and social media sites to submit questions, and you delivered. So, we've got 3 leaders of the WoW development team here. Please introduce yourselves.
Einer sieht aus wie Quentin.
Hi, I'm Ian Hasikostas, Game Director on WoW.
My man, Digga.
Hi, my name is Paul Cubitt. I'm Associate Game Director on World of Warcraft, working on the Midnight expansion.
Hi, I'm Maria Hamilton. I'm the Design Director for WoW.
Heilige Mutter
We got a lot of
Gottes.
questions, and I want to get right to them. We're going to start with some housing questions. So, Cyglaive on the forums asked...
Ey, Bro, ich will wirklich nicht gemein klingen, ne? Aber meine erste Frage auch, was macht die Oma da? Weil, Bro, wenn die das Housing von Midnight gemacht hat, Monka Arschlecken, wir sind doomed, Bro.
In a recent blog post, it was stated that the housing styles would be faction-locked. Can we get clarification on that?
Yes, there was a bit of confusion definitely around the Gamescom messaging there. As we just saw in the deep dive video, the neighborhoods ultimately are anchored in specific locations in the world.
Das ist so wichtig.
If you are in the Alliance neighborhood, you are on the outskirts of Stormwind in the Elwyn area. If you are in the Horde neighborhood, you're on the outskirts of Orgrimmar. While private neighborhoods can be cross-faction, you can have your guildmates, you can have your friends of the opposite faction move in, the general setting, the exterior houses there are going to
Können jetzt
reflect
aufhören,
the
gemeine Sachen
location.
zu der Oma zu sagen.
The NPCs that are wandering around the neighborhood, again,
Also es ist nichts witzig daran zu schreiben, die hat Warcraft 3 directed.
maybe something that we revisit down the line, but for the time being, if you're in the Horde neighborhood, the home exteriors need to reflect the Horde aesthetic. Take that up with the Orgrimmar HOA if there's a concern.
Speaking of things wandering around, a player named Hey Hey on the EU Spanish forums asked, I know there are plans for combat pets to appear in housing. Are there also plans for hunter pets?
Yes, so pets are something in general that we're working towards. At release in Midnight, Battle Pets won't be available to be placed just yet.
Guck mal, ich will das jetzt noch ein zweites Mal unterbrechen und so wirken, als wäre ich der totale Sohn, aber trotzdem finde ich die Truppe, die da hingesetzt haben, besser als bei den ganzen anderen Releases, wo es einfach so wirkt, als hätten die einfach irgendeinen Haufen von Clowns aufeinander geworfen, damit es irgendwie für die Publicity gut wirkt. Also ich habe da lieber 2 Opas und eine Oma, ja, die mir ein bisschen was davon erzählen, als irgendwas, was total random wirkt.
Have them on a hitching post in your yard. That's something we'd love to deliver as well. Hunter pets are probably trickier. Those are character specific, and
Bisschen leise,
housing is an account-wide system really tied to your warband. And so, you know, pulling from specific characters' hunter pet stable would probably be much more challenging. I'll never say never, but that's not in the plans currently.
Decor. Björky on Reddit asked, how will the trading post housing items work? Let's say there's a chair on the trading post. Will we have to buy the chair multiple times if we want a set of 4 in our house?
Einmal nur.
Will there be a 10-chair bundle for a set price? Or will the purchase give us infinite amount of chairs?
This is something we spent a good amount of time thinking about. There's going to be lots of ways that you can get decor starting in 11.2.7 and then into Midnight through achievements, through crafting, through completing just the campaign of Midnight and so on. And we ran into a lot of the same questions that you asked, the person who asked this question.
Einer hat in den Chat geschrieben, die ist eigentlich erst 24, aber Housing Design war anstrengender als gedacht. Das ist krass, Bruder.
Make that hard decision between, do I want this chair versus this cool mount or cool transmog?
Another question comes from Xanther on the forums. Xanther asked, how will outdoor housing plots work? If I want a certain plot and it's taken, do I have the option to try another instance?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Essentially, when you want to move house, you're just going to say, yep, it's time to move. It's all going to get packaged up for you. Paul likes to say that a mage comes along and puts it into an arcane ball for you. Don't know if that's actually, you know.
That is what happens.
Oh, totally. Okay. And then you can go to wherever you'd like to sort of deploy your house, and it just comes right back out of the bubble, set up exactly how you had it. So you can move around neighborhoods, you can move around different plots within a neighborhood. Yep, totally transportable.
Right on. Celia on the German WoW forums asked, will there be updates to the guild system in Midnight?
I think most of the updates we see to the guild system are going to be in the form of neighborhoods. We expect to see a lot of guilds, especially guilds who are like playing a lot actively with one another, to build guild neighborhoods where you'll be able to live alongside one another. So instead of the typical ways you're interacting with one another in WoW, whether that's raid nights, Mythic Plus nights, PvP, whatever it is you choose to do. So
Chat, ich frage nur für einen Freund, wollen wir eine Gilden-Neighborhood machen mit der Community? Oder 3?
Really looking forward to seeing guilds build stronger connections based on those guild neighborhoods.
I think the other systemic trappings of the guild system are something that we know is definitely due for a refresh. Guilds obviously have been there since the beginning, and there's definitely room for improvement. Our focus for Midnight, though, really was on the housing integration side of it, and the rest of the system is something we hope to get back to in the near future.
A highly upvoted question on Reddit comes from Chilligok. Chilligok asked, will we ever get another texture update for older races, especially compared to Earthen? The hairstyles are outdated now.
We do have a couple which are coming in Midnight. As you complete the Amani campaign in Zulaman, you will be able to unlock some cool cosmetics for Darkspear Trolls, some cool hairstyles, and actually skin colors as well. And so if you have any Darkspear Trolls on your account, you play through the campaign, you'll be able to get some cool customizations. And this is one of the ways that we do try to approach this, is as it's appropriate to the story, we'll look for cool ways that you can integrate cosmetics into your own character. That's not the only way that we might do this, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's something that we see as an issue to chip away at over time. We want to roll out extra customizations, hairstyles, you name it, for the existing races to continue to bring them up to parity with the very newest options. It's not something we're able to do all at once, but particularly where it makes sense and fits.
Hey Lemar, ich liebe dich, ne? Ich will ja nicht baiten, aber Valorant ballert noch bis 19 Uhr extra Subs. Ich weiß, das sind noch 13 scheiß Minuten, dann ist das Ding vorbei.
One of the original ones has roughly the same number of options.
So, as we just saw in the deep dive and going back to the Gamescom announcement, we have a system coming called Prey. And I have a couple of questions here about Prey. System of Cells on Reddit asked, will the Prey system make all mobs in the target zone more challenging, or only the prey target plus world quests unique to that system?
Yeah, it will affect everything in the zone for you. So if you have chosen to go into the zone chasing a nightmare mode prey, everything is going to be much harder for you. It's based on an aura that's put on you, sort of like it's almost like an affliction in a way, or torment. And as you move through that zone, it's going to be harder.
And the player in Prey is on their own?
They are when they finally wear down that boss, if it's in one of the harder modes. Then you need to go mano a mano. If it's in the normal mode, then the rest of the players in the vicinity can help you out.
Gotcha. The WoW creator Fandy asked, is the Prey system planned to be a part of the world row in vaults?
Yeah, in one way or another. You know, as we build our expansion, one of the last things that comes in is specifics on rewards. So we don't have the specific details now, but when we do look at Prey, we look at it as similar in difficulty and sort of player activity to the types of things that you do in Delves. And Delves do take up that bottom row of the world row in the Great Vault as well. So we do expect, if you're running Prey, you're going to see better rewards in that row in one way or another.
Good. I want to get to one of the most highly upvoted questions we saw across all channels. This is from Weird Dandom Ally on Reddit. And that goes, any plans to rejuvenate the glyph system? All classes could take advantage of it for class visual customizations like warlocks have with their pets and druids with their forms.
Yeah, so there isn't a glyph overhaul planned for Midnight at launch in particular, but the general question of more customization for spell visuals, transforms, things along those lines, that's one that we're also very excited about and always looking to offer more customization, more cosmetic self-expression where possible. And the glyph system is a great vehicle for this. It's not the only vehicle, but where it makes sense, that's definitely one of the avenues we would use.
Speaking of highly upvoted questions, we got a lot from the PvP community. I want to ask a few of those. So starting with Keth Cup on Reddit, the question is, do you have any plans on making PvP less daunting for new players?
We absolutely do, yeah. We're really excited to introduce a new feature called Training Grounds. This is a feature where players can enter battlegrounds fighting alongside other players against game-controlled opponents. So instead of fighting against other PvPers, potentially people who have been playing this mode much longer than you, who have better PvP gear than you, and are going to wipe the floor with you, you'll be able to fight against some opponents who you'll have a little bit more of a satisfying win rate against. And because of that, we think this will be a pretty good on-ramp for people who are PvP curious, who want to get into PvP, but feel like there's just too much of a steep on-ramp because of those daunting aforementioned players who want to wipe the floor with you. This is going to start with a couple battlegrounds that players will be able to jump into with Training Grounds, and we'll see where we go from there.
I think, we love PvP, broadly speaking. I think one of the challenges is it can be very daunting to get in, as the question implies. If you're getting into PvP for the first time, you're in some cases jumping into a pool that's filled with sharks who've been doing this for 20 years. But there's so much, there's nothing quite like World of Warcraft PvP and that style of conflict, that style of combat. And so really our philosophical approach as we move into Midnight to really try to rejuvenate and grow the scene is to broaden the base of that pyramid so we can kind of lift the whole thing up and help all levels of it, whether you are the most hardcore person competing for titles at the end of every season. Everyone will be better served if people feel like they can actually enter this community for the first time and discover what is so great about WoW PvP.
Let's all be sharks.
So eventually.
The PvP player and creator known as Supatees had the most highly upvoted question on our forums. He wrote, in the War Within, we saw major reward improvements and restructuring for Mythic Plus, which improved participation. Are there plans to look at the current reward structure for PvP, such as rating cutoffs or additional rewards?
There are definitely plans to look at this. One thing I can say that will be changing at launch in Midnight and the first season of Midnight is that top tier cutoff coming down from 2,400 to 2,300 for those rewards and titles. I think looking at how MMR has evolved and how the rating ecosystem has played out, that's been a bit too exclusive even for some of our best players. Broadly speaking, beyond that, I think there's a lot more that we would like to do with the system. That's not necessarily going to be happening right at launch in Midnight, but if you...
Okay, Jungs, jetzt war es witzig genug. Die nächste Person, die irgendwas gegen die Oma sagt, kriegt einen Timeout. Okay, das war für 10 Sekunden lustig, aber jetzt ist es auch nicht mehr lustig. Und habt euch im Chat mal ein bisschen lieb. Vor allem, habe ich eigentlich ein Delay drin oder so? Da kommen Sprüche zu Sachen, die sind vor 10 Minuten passiert. Quendan, greif durch, diese Asozialen!
Another one, Sandent on the WoW forums wrote, will war mode receive more well-needed attention?
Nein.
More activities like zone objectives or rotating events? Maybe a free-for-all treatment?
Yeah, we're adding a whole new area into the Voidstorm zone, a giant war mode area which reflects the same space as the Slayer's Rise battleground. If you watch the...
Meint ihr, die suchen sich nur Fragen raus, auf die sie Antworten haben? Ja, ne?
And this is, if you've played war mode in past expansions, you know that we've taken a couple war mode areas and had maybe one in each zone, one in Ringing Deeps and one in Isle of Dorn, where PvP, when you enable war mode, you'll have some special, unique activities. We took all those and glumped them all together right into this Slayer's Rise area, and so there's going to be a huge PvP playground if you have war mode on, be able to do lots of cool world quest activities, reasons to just kill one another, and even if you don't have war mode enabled, there'll still be PvP-themed content for folks doing world quests up in that area.
Why would you not have war mode enabled?
That's a very good question. Yeah.
Because you're afraid of sharks.
Yeah, it's sharks.
Okay, all right.
Warum habe ich War Mode aus? Warum wohl? Weil wenn ich draußen rumlaufe, verpasst meine Community neue Arschlöcher, Junge. Bro, War Mode ist fette Scheiße.
Reputations from expansions prior to Shadowlands to become warbound reputations.
So yeah, taking full accountability here. I know that when we rolled out the warbands, we said that we were going to work our way backwards through reputations. We haven't made progress as quickly as we would have liked. We got some of the Shadowlands
reputations, so, jedes Mal, wenn jemand getimeoutet wird, machen wir 10 Herzen oben drauf.
This is something we're going to pick up and resume. I can't commit to a definite timetable, but in the long run, we don't want this, internal disparity between how different expansions' reputations are handled, and we'll continue to start with the most recent and work our way backwards.
Thank you. Sixten on Blue Sky said, War Within is the first WoW expansion without a legendary. Can we expect anything in Midnight, or is the team taking time to reevaluate what place legendaries have in the modern game?
Bro, gib eins.
I think we always want to avoid things seeming formulaic, where it's like, okay, you can expect it's a new season, there's going to be a new legendary, this is how it's going to work. Legendaries should always remain special. They should feel like these are items that have clear stories behind them and feel worthy of that special orange color. And yes, we're also looking always at issues with how they're awarded. We want to make sure they feel special, but also don't turn into something where it feels bad or grindy because they feel required if you want to be competitive. There's a fine line to walk there. There aren't currently any planned for the first tier of Midnight, but as we face certain foes down the line, it may make sense for some of the items that they yield to have that orange color.
Schurke, Junge, komm, Schurke!
I want to ask some lore questions.
Oh, nice.
So, Asmira asked, will we be getting any more background information on story regarding Lyrath Windrunner? Sorry. Any of the other Windrunner family members, perhaps?
Absolutely. I don't want to talk too much about patches, but certainly in Midnight, as we go into the Spire, you will have the opportunity to really get a brother's view of his sisters. And an opportunity to learn a lot more about what happened.
Kann ich mal eine Frage stellen im eigenen Interesse, weil ich verstehe das, was sie da jetzt sagt, gerade sowieso nicht. Gibt es Leute, die wirklich full into Lore sind und sich da also richtig auch feiern und mitmachen und lesen und bla? Gibt es Leute, die richtig full into Lore sind? Ja. Okay, können wir bitte alle Leute eine einzelne Chat machen, die sagen, Lore ist für mich sehr big und 2 für nicht so.
Into a cohesive story about troll unity or cooperation.
Well, right out of the gate in Midnight, you're not going to see that combination of trolls, but you will see a combination of some trolls as we continue into patches and move forward. We're very much focused on what's going on with the trolls as well as what's going on with the Blood Elves. They have not always been on the best of terms for reasons, and there's definitely a story to be told about their relationship, and all of those folks come into that story.
Groxy on Blue Sky said, Midnight sees the Paladin forces of Azeroth fighting back the Void at the Sunwell. Can we hope to see more lore about the Tauren and Azeroth's sun god Ansha? Eyes of the Earth Mother told us how he and Elune slash Musha fought possibly the Void in ancient Azeroth.
Well, we are going to hang out with Desco a little bit in the Erator's Journey portion of our campaign at midnight.
Ey, der
And
Meier, ich
I
hab's dir
feel
gesagt.
like we
Hol dir mal
certainly
was.
are going to look at how the Tauren view their mythologies, perhaps later in The Last Titan.
Okay. Good. Let's talk about add-ons. The WoW creator Polka TV said, given the upcoming removal of many boss mod tools, how do you plan to preserve the intended difficulty of encounters once these tools are no longer available?
Die machen Add-ons weg?
So yeah, this is a great question. For some extra context, I think folks are going to see in the next day or two, as some of the media interviews we've done in the last day go out, that we are rolling out so changes to the add-on API with the launch of Midnight. And so that is going to remove the ability for add-ons to read in real time combat state and combat information specifically. And one of the big reasons why we're doing this with the launch of a new expansion is so that we can really build all of our combat, our encounters, around that expectation, around this new ecosystem. As we've been discussing over the course of the year, really the main
Aber das
goal
ist doch
with
geil,
this
oder nicht?
shift is to create a level playing field where external tools are no longer felt to be required
Also,
in order
ich
to
weiß nicht, wie
engage
es
in the
euch geht, aber das ist doch
contents,
geil,
at a
oder nicht?
competitive level. And also to shift some of the things that we are testing when it comes to difficulty, maybe away from Twitch reactions and how quickly you can run to the circle or diamond marker that your add-on told you to run to, and rather to more of the collaborative coordination that have traditionally marked cooperative PvE in WoW. But the goal is to keep difficulty largely the same. In terms of how many pulls it takes to down a boss for your guild, whether you are aiming for ahead of the curve and defeating Heroic, or whether you're pushing into Mythic or whatever else, overall it should take you about the same amount of time to accomplish what you're used to accomplishing. It's just that difficulty may come in slightly different places. Without add-ons to solve mechanics for you in real time, it may well be the case that we just need to give you a couple more seconds to get into place, or that there should be one fewer ad to interrupt, or what have you. We are going to be rolling out, we're actually going to be launching Alpha with a raid boss available for testing early on. We have a ton
Ey,
of
Chat, ich krieg eine Einladung
native
zur Alpha. Soll ich da
improvements to
reingehen
the
oder drauf
UI,
scheißen?
like boss timers, boss alerts, so you can see a timeline of upcoming boss abilities, nameplate improvements, cooldown management
bin mir da immer
improvements, and
unsicher.
more, to, again, kind of create a unified experience that's baked into the UI. But the goal at the end of the day is for difficulty to remain where it was, and we will be making tuning
Natürlich
changes
darf
in
man das
alpha
streamen.
and beta, as well as, of course, once these encounters are live, to make sure that things are landing in the right place and players still feel well equipped to overcome the
Lusthupe, ich
challenges in
liebe
front of
es.
them.
Following that, Sped Bros on Reddit asked, what is your plan for upkeep and development of these now built-in add-ons?
Yes, I
Müssten
think,
jetzt nicht
you know,
die Twitch
the
Drops
functionality
laufen?
that we're pulling into the
Twitch
base
Drops!
UI is something that, as always, we're going to be evolving and
Müsste jetzt nicht der Twitch-Drop laufen, Chat? Müsste der nicht laufen? Müsste der nicht laufen? Holt euch euren Twitch-Drop, ihr Dreckschweine. Der müsst jetzt laufen. Läuft! Läuft! Geil, Jungs! Geil!
launches. And then, of course, as always, even after the game is live, we're going to continue to add functionality based on the player
Wie, ihr habt
requests
schon
and the feedback that we
30%? Wie
receive.
lange muss man denn zugucken für die
Ossikrond
Scheiße?
on the WoW forums said, sculpting your UI over the years is
Ach
almost
so, das
like
ist schon seit
working on a
18 Uhr
classic
live.
car.
Lol.
Fine-tuning
Lol.
with different fonts, color palettes, and even different types of glow alerts. What is the depth of the available customization, and are there plans to expand it in
Hallo,
the future?
Mini-Kaiser.
So there's a couple of facets to this question. First off, couldn't agree more that I think UI customization and using add-ons to tailor the aesthetic of a UI, how information is presented and where it's presented, I think are one of the hallmarks of the WoW experience and really one of the strengths of the game for going on 21 years now. There are no plans to
21
eliminate or
Jahre.
remove that. The approach we've taken in changing the way the add-on API works really is just focused on access to that real-time information. There'll be details coming out very soon from our UI engineering team on exactly how this works, But whereas in the past, when we have restricted aspects of what
Die
add-ons can
Collectors
do,
Edition ist
we
gerade im
tend to
Shop
just kind
aufgetaucht.
of
Wie teuer ist
wall
die?
off sections of our UI and say add-ons can't touch this at all.
Ah,
But when
Svenja,
it
ich
comes
liebe
to
den auch. Ich habe ein
things
Foto
like
mit dem.
nameplates or unit frames and the like,
140
that would have been an
Euro.
unacceptable approach here because that aesthetic customization is so essential. So there's a brand new system that's been created where essentially, pieces of information about what's going on in combat are put in the black box. And add-ons can paint that box pink or yellow or green or make it bigger or smaller, but what they can't do is know exactly what's inside the box and use that to drive logic. In addition to that, the new UI functionality that we're adding, whether it's improved nameplates or whatever, have extensive customizations in terms of size, shape, location, aesthetic, all of the edit mode functionality.
Ja, ich will
and
da
more.
reingehen, Shopping
But
from
we have no
Germany.
intent of pulling back in any
jetzt hat er
way
mich da
from
rausgezogen, ich raste
the
aus.
aesthetic customization that add-ons have always offered.
Cutting to the chase, Felfer on the WoW forums asked, does this mean that existing add-ons like Deadly Boss Mods, Plater, or Details are going to break?
They will change significantly. I think certainly, day one, if you're logging into alpha and you try to enable them, I do not believe they will work due to changes in the API, but that's standard for any new expansion release. We are inviting the authors of a vast range of add-ons
ich krieg die
into
sowieso
our
geschenkt.
first week of alpha, so that's going to be coming up in just the next few days, to get
Ja,
their
Quentin,
hands
ich krieg
on these
eine.
changes, to give us feedback about how we can better support
Aber ich verschenke die wieder.
their
Scheiß
ongoing
drauf.
development.
Ich brauche die eh nicht.
But yes, when it comes to the specific ability,
Jungs, ich krieg von Blizzard eine geschenkt. Wenn die kommen, verschenke ich die. Weil ich habe alle. Ich habe von Blizzard alle Collectors Edition seit BFA geschenkt bekommen. Ich alle verschenkt.
Okay, give me one more. This comes from Herrix on the WoW forums.
One more.
Herrix said, what are the plans regarding improvements to the default raid frames? In the effort to reduce the need for add-ons, raid frames are a major pain point for healers, where the default Blizzard raid frames are basically unusable without at least some external modification.
So yeah, we also have improvements coming to raid frames, definitely with healers in mind. If you're, let's say, a Resto Druid who wants to be able to see all of your HOTS on a target, that's something that we agree is very important and needs to be baked into the default functionality. Same with, encounter designers calling out major buffs and debuffs and things that you need to know in an encounter, whether you're a healer or just a raid leader wanting to keep tabs on the state of the encounter that way. And of course, as mentioned earlier, add-ons will still be able to customize the look and the feel and the size and the overall presentation of raid frames. There just won't be certain functionality that is driving logic based on whether you happen to have a certain debuff or not. But all the rest should still be available.
E. Chow on Blue Sky has a couple of questions.
Was ist Blue Sky?
Given the connection to the Army of Light, the Sunwell and Blood Elves in general being their main rival in the Burning Crusade, will we see Draenei play any sort of role?
Wie Twitter, okay.
Also, will Quel'Thalas be, with Quel'Thalas being part of the main world now, will there be any updates to Forsaken Lands?
So the Draenei, obviously will be part of the fight, part of the battle that we're waging against the Void. But this chapter is focused on the Blood Elves and the Blood Elves struggle with some trolls.
Boah, aber Untot wär schon geil.
We're gonna really be leaning in there more than we are with the Draenei. Opportunities, will come up for the Draenei to have their moment in the light, as it were.
Yeah. And as it goes for changes to Forsaken Lands, well, there's some minor changes as we've added Quel'Thalas and Zul'Aman into the main body of the Eastern Kingdoms to connect them in. So there's a tunnel in the Forsaken Lands that does connect it in. We are going to see some Forsaken characters as well. We're actually going to be working with a little bit of a deep cut, but Alonsis Fowl, the Archpriest, is going to be a character who appears and has a couple interesting interactions and chats with Eretor and Liadrin and others. So we're going to continue to build out Forsaken story as we continue.
Yeah, I think
Aber kriegen wir jetzt auch ein Release-Datum?
How this is playing out and will continue to. I think we're very excited by some of the reception we've heard from Gamescom onwards about the changes to Silvermoon, Eversong, and more. Honestly, there was a bit of anxiety internally about the idea of revisiting an old location as for one of our zones, whether some players would view that as somehow lesser than coming up with a brand new place. But I think as people see this full splendor of Silvermoon, get a chance to revisit Eversong and what it's become all these years later, I think the excitement around that really excites us too, because we'd love to be able to tell more new stories in some of the iconic locations that resonate throughout, everyone's fandom of Warcraft and what Azeroth is about. And so that will mean updating those locations, and I think that's something that we're excited to do more of as we look forward. Of course, The Last Titan will see us going back to Northrend, so that'll be a story for another day.
I think we for sure discovered that we can tell different stories when we go to old places and see how characters have changed, see how the spaces have changed. It's been a really cool opportunity to do that in Midnight.
Let's shift to some class talk. Faxia on Reddit asked, are you planning on adding any new specs that can tank or heal for existing classes?
Not right now in Midnight. I think Devourer, Demon Hunter, and that new range DPS spec for them is our focus right now.
Mann, Junge,
but I
gib
think
uns
we've
doch
seen
eine neue
whether it's
Klasse,
this or
Mann!
whether it's augmentation. There is excitement around the idea of established classes getting new specs, and so that is something I think we are likely to explore as we look to the future.
Zerotics on Reddit asked, throughout the War Within, some classes and specs received visual updates, and as a monk player, the update to Vivify was very appreciated. Are there any other classes or specs that can be revealed to be getting updated visuals in Midnight?
Yeah, there's a couple really cool Apex talents. So Apex talents are the new talents you'll be able to learn at the bottom of your spec tree, and a lot of these have some fantastic visuals. Ones that jump out to me are the augmentation, where you summon a bronze dragon version of yourself from the future to fight alongside you for a little bit. The Frost Mage one as well, you summon a Hand of Frost that chases down your target and attack them. And so these are some of the new abilities that are going to get some new custom visuals. As far as looking back at older visuals, as was the case with Vivify, this is something that we tend to do as we continue to build smaller.
Was wäre denn so die neue Klasse, die ihr euch wünschen würdet? Weil ich glaube, ich habe jetzt sehr viele Sachen und sehr viele Vorschläge gelesen. Ich glaube tatsächlich, dass Tinker ist einer der interessantesten Sachen, die ich so auf Reddit oder auf Twitter gelesen habe. Necromancer, ja, aber ist er nicht ähnlich wie ein Dekan? Bade habe ich noch nie gelesen, Bro. Müllmann. Aber ich finde, Tinker wäre hart, oder nicht?
Will the Void/Light topic be picked up in any additional class specs in the future? For example, Sunwell effects for a Holy Paladin, or perhaps Void powers
Ich habe
for a
Hunger!
Warlock?
I don't know about Void Warlocks quite yet, but we do have a existing Void-themed spec, the Shadow Priest, my beloved Shadow Priest, which has a new ability, Tentacle Slam, which replaces Shadow Crash, and it is a giant voidy tentacle that slams down in a line in front of you and has a similar AoE component, but a lot more of a classic voidy Shadow Priest idea to it. We also have on one of our Apex talents, the Discipline Priest has Void Shield, which replaces your Power Word Shield with a Void-themed shield. So there are places where the Void and Light are leaking into our class design.
Going back to the support roles, Neo Sorrow on the EU Spanish forums asked, can we expect anything new regarding the support role in Midnight? Will it be expanded to other classes? Is it considered that it maybe didn't work as expected for augmentation, and perhaps that just becomes a normal damage or healer?
So we're not planning on currently expanding it to other classes, but we're also not planning on changing augmentation to just fit into the existing niches. I think there's a lot of excitement around the idea of support, and I think we've seen players embrace that fantasy. I think we are still iterating on evolving that specialization and getting to a place where we can find a happy medium, where it can kind of realize that fantasy and be effective as someone who bolsters the strength of your allies without also becoming so effective that it feels required in groups and kind of limits composition diversity. I think if we're able to achieve that, hopefully when we're able to achieve that, I do think we would like to look to what other ideas might apply a different fantasy to executing that concept.
I want to switch to the topic of delves. The WoW content creator True Villain Manny said with delves integrated into the story, will there be certain scenarios that are locked in as we level? And will there be additional story in those alternative scenarios with delves?
Yeah, as we move through the campaign in Midnight, we will be entering delves with specific goals in mind. And that particular variant of the story will have the objectives that we need to accomplish as we go through them. As always, our delves will have multiple variants to play through with different stories occurring. So yes, we will continue to use delves in this way, and you know, look for opportunities to continue to build quest content that enters delves.
So let's go inside.
Okay.
Vorteris on the WoW.
Ich möchte jetzt auch nochmal ein Machtwort sprechen, ja? Also es gibt hier 2 Parteien im Chat, die mir fett auf die Eier gehen. Nummer 1, die Leute, die Oma ranten. Die kann doch nichts dafür, dass sie aussieht wie Morladim, okay? Die arme Frau. Und Nummer 2, aber auch diese ganzen Heulsusen im Chat. Oh nein, die Oma ist bestimmt nett. Das ist irgendeine random-ass-Oma, Junge. Drauf geschissen. Lass die Leute im Chat doch mal schreiben, dass sie aussieht wie ein Ghoul. Davon geht die Welt jetzt auch nicht unter. Also ich bin auf beiden Seiten. Junge, der eine, nein, mit Tasche, das geht nicht. Bro, drauf geschissen. Habt ihr mal gesehen, wie beschissen die letzten 3 WoW-Erweiterungen waren? Da können wir die doch nicht in Schutz nehmen, wenn die Lead-Game-Designerin ist. Scheißegal, ob die aussieht wie Asmongold oder nicht. Meine Güte, oh, mit Tasche ein bisschen mehr Respekt. Die ganzen Erweiterungen waren fette Scheiße. Weniger Respekt noch. Raste gleich aus. Ehrlich, gleich raste ich aus. Weil Mitashi, die arme Oma. Aber wenn mich alle Leute fett nennen, dann nicht, oh, der arme Mitashi, da hab ich mir sogar hingespuckt. Junge, wenn die nächste Erweiterung wird wie TBC oder WOTLK, okay, dann können wir die Oma in Schutz nehmen. Aber wenn die uns noch so ein Shadowlands hinwichsen, dann gehört die Alte auch mal verprügelt. Und jetzt bestelle ich Sushi.
As touched on earlier, you know, we definitely want to tell new stories in iconic locations. And in doing that, we would certainly do much more than just do a fresh coat of paint on the area.
Ich warte noch,
we would
bis ich
really
die Anweisung
reimagine
habe,
it
ja.
and bring it into the present day, as we have with Eversong. Our current focus is, of course, on the story that we're telling for the rest of the World Soul Saga. That will touch on some familiar locations. But down the line, I think the lessons we are...
Michi schreibt in den Chat, was ist falsch mit dir? Ich fand Shadowlands sogar ziemlich geil. Bruder, wenn du Shadowlands geil fandst oder Battle for Azeroth, dann gehörst du wirklich
Giving away spoilers. Very important.
Okay.
Does Midnight introduce any completely new elven tribes or expand on lesser known ones? Maybe the Kelderai?
Without spoilers.
Without spoilers.
Without spoilers.
That's a tough constraint.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's right.
I
Shadowlands
don't
are
think
fette
it's
Scheiße.
spoilery to say we're going to be learning a lot about the elves and the elves' relationships with one another, and that would include Quel'Drai.
Thank you. And Zoris on the EU Spanish forums asked, with the Devourer specialization, all
Die letzten Add-ons waren doch nicht schlecht. Was ist los mit euch Streamern? Bruder, willst du mich verarschen? Heilige Scheiße. Okay, ja, ich gönn dir das. Alles gut, ich gönn dir das.
aesthetic customization to other classes.
So I think philosophically and narratively, what a Void Demon Hunter represents, what a Devourer Demon Hunter represents, is one who, rather than harnessing and channeling Fel energy, is channeling Void energy to turn it against those who originally wielded it. And so that is going to transform a wide range of their abilities. On the other hand, when we look at, let's say, a mage or a Frost mage, they're not forsaking
Von mir aus euch alle gegenseitig im Chat. Hauptsache, ihr hört auf die Oma zu pissen.
arcane spell, and counterspell is still an arcane spell, and so forth. And so I think when we
Ein Retail-Raid hat mehr Content als Classic. Ey, sorry, Lock, deswegen haben deine Eltern dich auch mit 4 Jahren ins Tierheim gegeben, du Stück Scheiße. Du laberst zu viel Kacke.
mean that transforms all of the others. That said, touching on some earlier questions when it comes to glyph spell customizations and other things that players may want to customize the look and feel of their abilities, there's always an opportunity there.
Another highly upvoted question all over the place.
Die sind
I'll
alle
take
highly upvoted.
the version of this question from Navarel on the EU German forums.
Deutschland!
Would you consider replacing the ready-made group in follower dungeons with characters from the player's warband?
Definitely something we are considering. Not something we're going to be able to deliver for Midnight, but ever since the introduction
We
of
have
both
a
warbands and
very,
follower,
very highly anticipated question from the German content creator Metashi12, yes. What are your thoughts about labering weniger Scheiße and making a good game, my brothers and sisters from Amiland, huh? What about making good content and not clopping women? What do you say about this? I will give this question to the Oma.
That, building training grounds in this way gets us one hurdle closer to being able to do what you're asking for.
There are so many people on this development team that I would call technical hurdlers. Engineers, that's just what they do. They jump over hurdles. So, Maria, Silo on the WoW forums asked, will there be new mini-game type quests in Midnight?
Yes, there will be. We actually have a new mechanic that was created for Zul'Aman specifically, where you will do some, underwater stuff, but it's quite fun. It's the Amani Abyss style. You're gonna be going fishing troll style.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a revelation. I like that. While we're revealing things, Musselton on the WoW forums asked, I'm extremely excited for the Heronir. Can you share more information on their druid forms?
Well, conveniently, if you watched the deep dive, you saw a flash of those. Fundamentally, they all have quills to throw back.
Okay, Chat, ihr denkt alle an das Epic Midnight Event. Ich gehe schnell runter und bestell Sushi, okay?
Pangolin bear with sort of bat-like ears.
They all sort of got those ears.
Yeah, they
right?
got the ears and the quills. And we have a wolverine for our feral spec. We have an owl-like, quilled owl-like sort of boomkin. But best of all has got to be the swimming form, the swimming travel form, which is an axolotl.
Axolotl.
With quills.
We're all going to learn how to say axolotl.
Yeah, I probably said it wrong, but yeah.
No, I think you got it right. I think you did.
Okay, cool.
The reveal of the Heronir led to a very common question. And a version of that question that I want to ask you came from Racktoner on Reddit. Can you explain the decision-making process for which races to make playable races?
A lot of this comes down to narrative. There's no secret that we started talking to the Heronir in the War Within, and this was not a coincidence either. We wanted to build a familiarity with Orwena, with her crew, so you'd understand who these characters are when they do eventually become playable characters, as we've added them in Midnight. And of course, Midnight is part of a 3-chapter saga. We're in the middle chapter now. The Heronir are going to be a big, important part of this story, and this is why we chose to fold them in.
I feel bad often being the bearer of bad news in these conversations, but I know that it's not lost on us that there are widespread requests from players who would love to be a Sethrak or an Ethereal or the like. And part of the question there is, as Paul said, narratively, does it make sense for this faction to really join the Alliance and Horde if they're cosmic, extraplanar, or more neutral by nature? But the reality of it is also, from a production perspective, one of the things we grapple with is that adding a brand new race to World of Warcraft is one of the most development-intensive things we can do, not just in one-time time commitment, but also in the long-term carrying cost for every set of armor we ever make for years and years to follow. And it's something that we have to weigh very, very heavily when we do. Building a race that uses or shares an existing rig, an existing skeleton, if it's an elven race or the like, makes that more straightforward. Again, that's not to say we're never going to add very novel or meaningfully different races down the line, but it's a very high bar for us to clear when we look at how much ultimately it's going to mean that we have to do less of in other places forever in order to support this additional race alongside the others.
As I've said to you before, I want Saberon. I will wait. I will be patient. Please give me Saberon. So, Massive Bear on the WoW forums asked, will Heronir be unlockable in the 3 days of early access? I remember Earthen were not.
No, not during the first 3 days. Yeah. So during that early access, we want to make sure that we're letting players who are in that early access be able to play through the campaign and understand what's going on, but not getting any meaningful jumps ahead of anyone else who does not have that early access.
Meredith on the WoW forums asked, how is Blizzard progressing in the war against toxicity in terms of the entire game?
Yeah, this is something that's a huge focus for us, and really there's many facets to the question and the discussion. I think when people say toxicity, there's a few different meanings perhaps, or things that they're referring to. Some of it is just the overt hostile, harmful, antagonistic interactions that may occur online between players. We're always continuing to shore up our reporting tools, improve real-time monitoring, and get to a place where people who are disrupting our game world can be punished and ultimately removed from it if they continue to do that. On the other hand, though, I think sometimes when people talk about a community or a portion of the game feeling toxic, that can arise from just mismatched expectations. Like, if I am listing a group and I'm trying to run a raid, and I have done that raid 12 times, and I have been through groups that have wiped and learned the encounters, it's reasonable for me as a leader of a pug to only want players who have a certain level of experience, who have also been through those learning wipes and can succeed quickly.
Habt ihr euch wieder über die Oma
And so someone
ausgelassen?
who is looking to learn may feel like, oh, this is very unwelcoming, this is kind of toxic, why aren't we,
Honey, Rio, fick dich.
why am I not welcome here? And ultimately, that's an issue
Also,
of aligning.
Ich habe mir jetzt Sushi bestellt und eine Sparte sogar mit Käse überbacken. So richtig räudige Scheiße.
Like-minded players and like-minded groups.
Ja, like-minded.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to complete something quickly and
ist ganz geil
efficiently.
tatsächlich.
There's also very certainly nothing wrong with wanting to learn and wanting a patient group. Now, if you mix those two groups, there are going to be some conflicts that emerge naturally because of different goals and expectations. So I think a lot of what we're focused on right now is also how we can help players better connect with like-minded individuals so that they can have satisfying experiences where everyone is on the same page, working towards the same goals.
Thank you. I want to rip through some more housing questions. We've got several.
Okay, Chat, ich
Will
bin
we get
offen
to see
zu
our
euch,
alts
ja?
walking about?
Ich würde jetzt gerne noch Werbung fürs Giveaway machen, über die Wochenendpläne reden, bisschen den Classic HC rumlaufen, weil Q&A ist ganz geil, aber nur denen dabei zuzuhören. Also, ich könnte ja das Q&A ein bisschen nach oben schrauben und ich laufe ein bisschen in der Welt rum, weiß ich meine, aber nur Q&A gucken geht mir auch ein bisschen auf den Sack.
Talk about as a potential for the
Hallo
future.
Susanka, wie
And
geht es
I'll
dir?
take this
Ich
moment
freue
to say
mich
that
sehr.
like housing
Dankeschön.
is one of those features which is really exciting for us because there are so many cool ways for it to grow. As we've built Midnight and we're sharing housing for the first time, we're going to be looking to you to tell us, what do you want? Is it that we want to see our house? Do we want more features? Do we want more decor? Do we want more ways that I can style the interior, exterior of my house? So let us know as you continue playing.
Yeah, philosophically, with a feature the size of housing, this is something we've been working on for a very long time to really deliver what players have been expecting and what they deserve. But there comes a point when we're developing, especially a social feature, where we're almost hesitant to take it too far until we can actually share it with the community and understand what people are into,
Lass mal die so
what
gar
they're
nicht
maybe not
gestartet.
into so much, what they want more of, what they don't need more of, to make sure that we're really putting our time and our resources in the places that are going to maximize that value for players. And so we're so excited to see people jump in the
Janini,
months
wir machen
ahead
das
in
Giveaway
alpha
so in
and beta,
20 Minuten.
of course, and then
Hallo,
beginning
Rocky, mein
this
Schatz.
December on the live servers,
Shadow Kid, pass auf
and
dich auf.
see where it goes from there.
So here's a very specific question from Alastril on the WoW forums.
Letzte Frage, Junge.
For housing and professions, it was stated that professions through all expansions will be able to craft housing items. Will we be able to
Hallo,
use
DJ.
this as a skill catch-up for the past expansions? For example, could a leather worker start at Wrath Leatherworking Skill 1 and craft Wrath-themed housing items to get all the way to level 75?
I mean, these will give skill ups for sure. Yeah, I don't know how many of them will be available at level 1, for example. They may
Boah,
be
das sind so
tuned based on
Fragen,
how
Bro, die würde ich niemals fragen.
elaborate the piece of decor is, but in general, yeah, once you get the level that you're able to build these things, then you continue to use them to level up.
So many very specific requests. I want to just give you this one. It comes from Spara on the WoW forums. Is it possible to add a functional bookshelf to player housing that could store and display collected in-game books? I have a lot of
Boah,
those.
das ist
Okay,
eine
this is
geile
what I'm
Idee.
talking about. That like
Yeah.
once you
Mini-Karte,
share
das
housing
habe
with
ich,
the
das gab's auf
world,
der Gamescom.
then 1,000 cool ideas come out, and so
Das
we
ist ja
will start
so
gathering
geil,
up all
die
these
Idee.
cool ideas and say, what can we do next? I can confirm there will be bookshelves. Whether those bookshelves will be functional, no, not at least to start. But this is a really cool idea for a collection that we're gonna, take back to the team.
Motto ist nicht schlecht.
And a couple more. Ian, Devanir on Reddit wrote, what is the minimum player limit for a private or guild neighborhood?
Oh,
what
oder
happens if
Maximum.
you make a private neighborhood with the minimum amount of people and then some of them go away?
So this is something that's still a bit in flux. I think our current thinking is that just like signing a guild charter, you'll need 10 players to charter a private neighborhood.
Okay.
And that's for a couple of reasons. Part of it is, in order for neighborhood systems, endeavors to really to function optimally, there's a certain number of players that are going to be expected to really drive the system. But also a piece of it is just server performance. Using an extreme example, if literally every single player online had their own personal neighborhoods, that would be potentially millions.
Als ob Housing das Game retten wird, XD. Das wird 1% genutzt, sonst geht es doch eh nur um Raid oder Mythic Plus. Also Agro-Tank, mein lieber Schatz, ja, du bist ein langer Zuschauer, lange gesubbt, aber diese Aussage ist so Turboschwanz, weil WoW braucht gar nichts, was die rettet, ja? WoW ist das beste MMORPG, was es gibt seit 20 Jahren. Die müssen nicht gerettet werden, okay? Und dieser Call, dass WoW nur gespielt wird von High-Level M+-Leuten oder High-Level-PvP-Leuten, ist der weirdeste überhaupt, weil ich schwöre dir, das macht vielleicht 5% der Playerbase aus. Ich würde meine beiden Beine ins Feuer legen, dass es mehr Leute gibt, wenn nicht sogar doppelt so viele Leute gibt, die einfach nur Mounts farmen oder Normal Raids machen, als Leute, die M+ High Keys ballern oder PvP Gladi machen. Also 10-mal mehr sogar. Also, das wirkt immer so, weil das das Einzige ist, was man irgendwo auf Social Media publiziert bekommt. Ja, so, es gibt kein Mount-Sammel-Event von WoW auf Blizzard Launcher oder so, weißt ich meine, es gibt kein, wer hat die meisten Erfolge, du kriegst es alles nicht mit. Nur weil es einen World First Race gibt oder einen MDI, Bruder, das sind legit 3000 Leute, die da mitmachen von 8 Millionen. Und der Fokus sollte auf den Dingen liegen, die für alle zugänglich sind und nicht für die, die mit WoW spielen ihr Geld verdienen wollen oder so. Ja? Gleich geht's rein in Interstellar, tatsächlich noch nicht gesehen, bin gespannt. Granatbier, bitte, bitte lass dich drauf ein. Aber das ist tatsächlich eine unfassbar gute Thematik für eine Umfrage. Und diese Umfrage habe ich noch nie gemacht, seitdem ich streame. Und mich würde echt sehr, sehr, sehr interessieren, wie die ausfällt. Freunde der Nacht, / Poll. Poll heißt übersetzt Umfrage, ja? Was macht ihr am meisten in WoW? Und jetzt möchte ich hoffe, dass es genug Sachen gibt zum Antworten. Jetzt möchte ich, dass ihr genau zuhört, weil es dabei nicht darum geht, was ihr am besten macht, ja, sondern das, was ihr am häufigsten tut. Okay? Also es geht darum, was macht ihr, wenn ihr WoW spielt, am häufigsten, am liebsten? Was gibt euch das beste Gefühl? Wir fangen an mit Dungeons M+. Wir schreiben Mythic Plus, okay? Ich glaube, wir müssen einen Straw Poll machen, weil es zu viele Sachen zu tun gibt. Warte mal ganz kurz, Chat, ich nehme euch mal ganz kurz mit. Ja, warte, ich lasse euch hier. Ich glaube, wir müssen einen Straw Poll machen, weil es zu viele Sachen gibt. Glaube ich. Was macht ihr am liebsten in WoW? So, Option 1 ist Mythic Plus. Ja, so. Dann gibt's Raiden. Ja, Raiden. Raiden heißt... Wobei... Chat, müssten wir Raiden nicht differenzieren? Weil ich finde, es gibt einen riesen Unterschied zwischen Progress Rate, right? Und einfach nur Normal gehen. Oder? Okay, warte, wir machen nochmal vor. Also Mythic Plus ist Nummer 1, weil dann würde ich sagen, Raiden packen wir nicht rein. Doch, wir machen Raiden und dann machen wir HC/Mythic. Und dann noch eine Option, das ist Raiden LFR/Normal, also aus Spaß, right? So, dann machen wir Gold farmen, Mounts farmen, Erfolge farmen. Ich würde Mounts bzw. Haustiere zusammenpacken, weil ist beides das gleiche, ja? Dann gibt's einfach nur Leveln, ist auch ein sehr guter Call. Ne, Tiefen würde ich... Boah, also PvP fehlt noch komplett, ja? Ich würde sagen, es gibt PvP, das heißt BGs/RBGs und es gibt Arenas. Arena ist ein einzelstehendes. Arenas, ja? Also 3 vs 3, 5 vs 5 und was auch immer. Ihr wisst schon, was ich meine. Roleplay? Meinst du, es gibt Leute, die for real Roleplay am meisten machen? Roleplay treiben? Okay, wo packen wir Transmog rein? Weil ich würde tatsächlich Transmog fast schon zu Mounts und Haustiere packen, weil es eine Form von altem Content-Farmen ist, oder nicht? Weil kein Mensch geht einfach nur Transmog farmen. Checkt ihr, was ich meine? Jeder macht, das ist dieses viele Farmen. Ich gehe Transmogs, Haus, Mounts, ich glaube, das kommt dann da rein. Also Mounts, Haustiere und Transmog farmen. So, wir haben Mythic Plus, Raiden, Progress, Raiden, Schwänze, Gold farmen. Es gibt ja Leute, die spielen nur für Gold. Also auch wenn ihr mainly Transmog farmen geht, zählt es unter die Sparte von Mounts und Haustiere. Pelon Berufe würde ich auch unter Gold farmen machen. Also Berufe ist doch auch Goldfarm, oder nicht? Roleplay haben wir, Arena, PvP, Leveln, Erfolge. Pet Battles. Also Ruffarmen ist auch unter Erfolge. Tiefen fehlt noch. Also wir werden nie die perfekte Umfrage hinbekommen. Wir werden es aber hinbekommen, dass es ungefähr in die Richtung geht, ja? Wieso feiere ich dich so? Weil ich dich so feiere. Leveln haben wir. Questen, Q-Simulator. Ich glaube, so ist es ganz okay. Wir können noch Delves reinpacken. Delves-Tiefen. Right? Und jetzt kommen schon wieder so eine Sache rein, wie zum Beispiel, was ist mit Hardcore und bla bla bla. Aber es geht jetzt um Retail. Es geht nur um Retail. Es geht full um Retail. Ja? Sollen wir vielleicht noch eine Spalte machen für Questen, Story? Ja, ne? Ja, bitte, ich glaube auch. Und ich sehe schon im Chat, dass viele Leute sagen, hey, das passt nicht, das ist nicht so, ich mache alles gerne. Es geht hierbei nicht darum, dass wir aufgrund dieser Umfrage ein neues Spiel kreieren. Es geht darum, dass wir einen ungefähren Einblick in das bekommen, was die Leute am liebsten tun. Okay? Also das hier ist nicht der Beweis für irgendetwas. Es ist einfach nur eine vage These, die wir zusammen aufstellen. Was machen die Leute am liebsten? Ja, spielen sie lieber casual? Spielen sie lieber progress-orientiert? Okay, ich glaube, wir haben alles. Okay? Wir haben Mythic Plus, Raiden, Goldfarm, Mounts, Erfolge, Leveln, PvP, Arena, Roleplay, Tiefen, Delves, Questen, Story. Und rumstehen zähle ich mal nicht mit rein, weil rumstehen, da seid ihr einfach hängen geblieben, ja? Dann setzt euch doch lieber aufs Sofa und macht gar nichts. Okay, also. Multiple Choice, Terminumfrage, Rangliste. Eine Multiple Choice, glaube ich, richtig. Kann man mehrere Sachen machen? Auswahl von mehreren Optionen zulassen. Ja, aber was bedeutet das? Also unbegrenzt, genaue Anzahl, 2. Ich finde, man sollte 2 Sachen sagen dürfen, oder nicht? Ich glaube, 2 Antworten ist wichtig, weil manche Leute können sich entscheiden, 3 ist zu viel. 3 ist zu viel, 2 ist fein. 2 ist so, ich bin mir unsicher. Weil eigentlich solltet ihr nur eine haben. Ihr kriegt 2. Ihr kriegt 2. Legt mal, naja, was frage ich euch überhaupt? Okay, Umfrage erstellen, live ist gut. So, wir haben hier die Umfrage. Wir pinnen die einmal oben im Chat an. Und ich mache Emote-Only rein und ihr habt jetzt alle die Möglichkeit, da einmal bitte drauf zu drücken. Ich bitte alle WoW-Spieler, die gerade zugucken, einmal darum, auf diesen Poll drauf zu gehen und mitzuvoten. Wirklich ein für alle Mal da drauf zu gehen und uns die Ergebnisse anzugucken. Wenn ich Retail spiele, ja, würde ich sagen, ist es Mounts, Haustiere und Transmog Farm. Das ist ganz, ganz, ganz weit oben. Leveln eher in Classic, Erfolge weniger. Ich glaube, ich würde sagen Mythic Plus. Das wären meine Go-Tos. Mythic Plus und Mounts und Haustiere, bla bla bla. Okay? Wir gucken uns mal die Ergebnisse an. An die Mods, haut ruhig wirklich weiter den Link rein, sofern er nicht die ganze Zeit im Chat präsent ist. Wir gucken uns jetzt die Ergebnisse an. Was sagt der Chat? Was sagt der Chat? Ja, die haben wahrscheinlich exakt, die haben legit einfach genau die gleichen Antworten wie ich. Das ist crazy. Das ist tatsächlich crazy. Aber, ja, es haben erst 802 Leute aus dem Chat teilgenommen. Da warten wir noch auf viele weitere. Also bewegt euren gammeligen Arsch. Ich weiß, viele von euch lurken, spielen gerade nebenbei oder wichsen sich ein. Aber solche Umfragen werden viel, viel besser, wenn jeder von euch einmal aktiv wird, auf den Link klickt und sich 2 Sekunden Zeit nimmt, okay? Weil es dauert wirklich nur 2 Sekunden. Votet mal bitte alle ab. Dankeschön auch an 2 Epic Gamers, Tiokan, Tolki, Mike, Omen, Mardok, Stanley, Zeus, Turbogeist, Thermalian und Numlan für die Follows. Herzlich willkommen. Infima, Framu, Rocky, Padawan, Sentinel, 2 Epic Gamers, Digi Hole und Socks. Dankeschön für die Subs und Resubs. How are you doing? Aber es war fast schon... Digga, das ist crazy. Da ist wirklich, also Roleplay machen wirklich nur 14%. 0,66%, 14 Stimmen. 14 Leute von allen Menschen im Chat betreiben gern Roleplay. Okay, einmal spamme ich den Link noch rein, als gäbe es kein Morgen. Ja, bitte geht alle nochmal auf den Link drauf und votet. Hierbei müssen wir bedenken, wir haben auch sehr viele Leute im Chat, die gar kein WoW spielen. Ja. Aber ich würde sagen, dann können wir nochmal auf ganz entspannt darum bitten. Geht auf den Link, votet ab. Und dann, Kim, kannst du so in 10, 20 Sekunden kannst du den Emote-Only rausnehmen. Dann können wir uns das mal angucken. Also Mounts und Transmog Farm war klar, weil es macht halt auch einfach Spaß. Mythic Plus kann ich verstehen, ist halt ähnlich wie bei mir, dass es so eine Mischung aus beidem ist, so was ganz Chilliges und dann doch was Forderndes. Raiden HC, 12% Leveln, 12% Questen, Story, 11% Raiden, LFR normal, 5%. Delves Tiefen, Erfolge Farm. Kim macht Emote-Only rein, raus. Quenner macht wieder rein und dann wieder raus. Geil! Mythic Plus ist der größte Müll, der eingeführt wurde. Das hat alles kaputt gemacht. Ist das so? Da ist die Frage der Fragen. Also ich werde jetzt mal einen Take raushauen, der vielleicht auf taube Ohren stößt. Ja, ich werde einen Take raushauen, der vielleicht ein bisschen für Entsetzen sorgt. Aber soll ich mal einen Call machen, worüber ich mir die letzten 2, 3 Tage ein paar Gedanken gemacht habe? Ich finde, ein essentieller Punkt, der WoW kaputt gemacht hat, ist Transmog. Oh man. Und jetzt haut rein. Jetzt haut rein. Ich bin ein riesengroßer Fan von Transmog in Retail, aber jedes Mal, wenn ich es benutze, wird mir eigentlich klar, dass es fette Scheiße ist. Mitachi, eine Begründung bitte. Der Content, den man absolviert, diktiert, wie du aussiehst. Leute, die weniger erfolgreiche Dinge tun, egal ob jetzt beim Erfolge farmen oder beim Dungeons machen oder Raiden, laufen rum wie Schwänze. Und Leute, die ihr ganzes Leben in WoW reinpumpen, haben die fettesten Eier. Die Sets sehen mächtiger aus, krasser aus. Und durch dieses Differenzieren lädt WoW dann mehr dazu ein, sein Leben zu verkaufen. Oder halt eben nicht. Und das ist das, was in Classic geil ist und in Retail fehlt. Das ist der Call. Und deswegen glaube ich, ist Retail mit Transmog da auf der falschen Spur. Weil jedes Mal, wenn ich etwas transmogge, will ich so aussehen wie zu einer Zeit, wo es krass war, das zu haben. Ich transmogge nicht einfach, weil es cool aussieht, sondern ich transmogge, weil es mir irgendwie mal Stolz suggeriert hat, ja? Oder Erfolg oder schlaflose Nächte. Ich werde wieder an die Zeit zurückerinnert, wo es wichtig war, reinzusuchten. Und das habe ich jetzt nicht mehr. Und deswegen glaube ich, ist es nicht so geil. Aber ihr könnt gerne eure Meinung dazu reinhauen. Also, das ist nur meine 5 Cent. Aber ich glaube, dass auf längere Sicht macht es eher was kaputt als gut. Es ist eher so eine Grauzone. Also, es ist jetzt nicht so, dass ich sagen würde, Transmog ist ein richtiger Bonus. Ja, ich verstehe den Take. Ich glaube, da gibt es auch wenig dran, nicht zu verstehen, oder nicht? Zumal kannst du dir halt heute Transmogs holen, wenn du jetzt in alte Raids gehst, die man früher nie bekommen hätte. Ja, das meine ich ja. Was ich meine? Früher hättest du jemanden in der Stadt gesehen und der hatte das WOTLK Lich King 25er HC-Set an. Du wusstest, der hat eine fette Gurke. Dann hatte der noch den Erfolgsdrachen, den Eisbrutbezwinger oder was das war. Du wusstest, Bruder, der kann spielen. So, was ich meine? Und heutzutage sabbelst du da einfach lang. Das Mount hat jeder und das Set auch. So, also, versteht mich nicht falsch. Und für die neue Generation von WoW-Spielern, also wir müssen ja bedenken, WoW gibt es mittlerweile seit 21 Jahren. Es gibt verschiedene Arten von Leuten, wie die das Spiel gelernt haben und daran geführt wurden, ja. Das Problem ist, ich und viele andere Leute haben angefangen zu spielen, wo man wirklich für jedes Item, für jedes Upgrade sich hat in den Arsch ficken lassen müssen, ja. Und vielleicht ist es deswegen ein anderer Approach an die Sachen, aber ich kann Sachen in World of Warcraft nur appreciaten, wenn ich weiß, es ist nicht leicht zu kriegen. Kann das jemand verstehen? Egal, ob es Mounts sind oder Titel oder Transmog oder Waffen oder Verzauberungen, es muss einen Funken von Prestige haben, weil warum sollte ich es sonst machen? Zum Beispiel, seitdem ich WoW spiele, habe ich in meinem ganzen Leben noch nie einen Shop-Mount gekauft. Egal, wie cool die aussehen. Weil du musst einfach nur was klicken und du hast es. Ob es geil aussieht oder nicht. Der Fakt, dass alle es haben, macht es mir kaputt. Versteht ihr? So. Und dann kommen die GDKP-Leute um die Ecke. Ja, das ist natürlich dann wieder eine andere. Also ich glaube, die ganze Thematik ist nicht so leicht. Man kann nicht einfach sagen, Transmog ist scheiße und Transmog ist geil. Kann man nicht. Aber ich denke, man sollte sich da jede Seite anhören. Also den Call, den du gerade gemacht hast mit GDKP, das ist natürlich ein Punkt, den man da in der Rückhand hat, der auch absolut wahr ist. Also in Classic, wenn du da dir Gold kaufst und dich dann durchballern lässt und du bist der heftigste Faker, dann bist du auch ein Schwanz. Das stimmt schon. Ja. Die Logik macht kaum Sinn, denn sind nicht Transmog das Problem, sondern dass man die Mounts und G im Nachhinein noch farmen kann. Das hat ja nichts mit Transmog zu tun. Was? Die Logik macht kaum Sinn. Dann sind nicht Transmogs das Problem, sondern dass man die Sachen im Nachhinein noch farmen kann. Hä? Aber wenn es Sachen gäbe, die man im Nachhinein nicht farmen kann, wofür gäbe es dann Transmog? Hä? Bro, what the fuck? Das war der dümmste Call, den ich jemals dazu gehört habe. Wenn die Hä? Bin ich gerade hängen geblieben? Wenn es nichts zum Farmen gäbe, gäbe es doch auch nichts zum Transmoggen. Da, mein Kopf, der geht kaputt, oder? Stimmt schon, was er sagt. Du wolltest doch Alleinstellung. Nee, er hat recht. Man kann es halt... Okay, ich verstehe jetzt den Call. Man kann es halt nur transmoggen, wenn man zum aktuellen Content gefarmt hat. Also er sagt, Transmog ist fein. Der Fehler liegt darin, dass man in alte Expansions gehen kann und sich ja das Gear zwacken kann. Das meint er, richtig? Er meint, dass Transmog geil ist, wenn man zu... Guck mal, aber das ist ein ultra starker Call. Das ist doch ein banal guter Call. Wer hat das überhaupt geschrieben? Der Typ muss ja einen Riesenpimmel haben. Ich meine, der ging mir schon, glaube ich, den ganzen Stream auf die Eier, aber damit hat er recht. Also, finde ich, da hast du vollkommen recht, Transmog wäre dann wohl geiler, wenn man nur Sachen transmoggen könnte, die man zu der Zeit bekommen hat, wo man die hätte töten müssen. Checkt ihr, was ich meine? Also, du kannst nur T3 transmoggen, wenn du es zu dem Zeitpunkt erfarmt hast. Ja, das wäre eine sehr, 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 sehr gute Änderung. Da hast du vollkommen recht. Ja, das wäre eine sehr gute Änderung. Ich finde, bei Mounts ist es nicht ganz so schlimm, weil Mounts sind ja trotzdem noch sehr, sehr selten. Ich weiß nicht, wie es euch geht, aber ich habe unbesiegbar, glaube ich, 9 Jahre auf 12 Chars gefarmt, bis es endlich gedroppt ist. Diese 1%-Regel, ja, ist ja schon so, dass es nicht jeder hat. Check ich. Aber das mit dem Transmog, finde ich, ist ein sehr, sehr cooler Call. Das wäre halt einfach, das dann zu lösen. Aber hier auch, ich denke, die breite Masse, die meisten Leute transmoggen gerne, weil es eben cool aussieht. Und da haben wir natürlich nichts mitzureden. Ja? Meine Lieblingsstreamerin ist Karte Raketen. Au!